So the Game of Thrones universe just gave us something completely different, and honestly, it might be the best thing to happen to this franchise in years. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms episode 1 just dropped, and if you came in expecting dragons, massive battles, and the typical Westeros bloodbath, you're going to be surprised. This show is playing a completely different game, and that's exactly what makes it brilliant. Before we dive deep into the breakdown, if you're enjoying this analysis, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're going to be covering every single episode of this series, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Now let's break down everything that happened in the Hedge Night, and more importantly, what it all means for the future of this world. The episode opens with Ser Arlan of Pennytree dying, and this isn't your typical Game of Thrones death. There's no betrayal, no battle, no shocking moment. Just an old man who lived his life as a wandering knight, dying from sickness after getting caught in the rain. It's simple, it's quiet, and it sets the tone for what this entire show is about. Duncan the Tall, played by Peter Claffey, buries his master and takes everything the old knight owned. 3 horses, some armor, and the claim that Ser Arlan knighted him on his deathbed. That last part is crucial because throughout this entire episode, we're given hints that Dunk might be lying about being a knight at all. In George R.R. Martin's original novella, this ambiguity is even stronger. Dunk's thoughts and actions suggest he was never actually knighted. He was just a squire when Arlan died. But he takes the armor, adopts the title, and heads to the tourney at Ashford Meadow hoping to make a name for himself. This is fraud at the highest level in Westeros society, and if anyone discovers the truth, Dunk could lose his hand or worse. At an inn, Dunk encounters a bald-headed boy who begs to become his squire. This kid is persistent, he's cocky, and he clearly knows more about knights than any stable boy should. Dunk brushes him off and continues to Ashford. For book readers, this moment is loaded with dramatic irony. That little bald boy is Prince Aegon Targaryen, the 4th son of Prince Measter Targaryen. He's 9th in line for the Iron Throne. In the books, his brother Daeron was supposed to take him to the tourney, but Daeron got drunk and decided to hide instead. So Daeron shaved Egg's distinctive silver-blonde Targaryen hair to hide his identity, and Egg ran off to find a real knight to serve. Why does this matter? Because Egg isn't just some random Targaryen prince. He becomes King Aegon V, one of the most important rulers in Westeros history. And the old Maester at Castle Black in Game of Thrones, Maester Aemon, who Jon Snow knew. That's Egg's older brother. When Aemon was dying, his final words were, "Egg, I dreamed that I was old," talking about this same boy we're watching in this episode. The entire foundation of the Baratheon claim to the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones traces back to Egg. His daughter Rhaelle married into House Baratheon, making Robert, Stannis, and Renly Baratheon his great-great-grandsons. And through that same line, Daenerys Targaryen is his great-great-granddaughter. Everything in Game of Thrones connects back to this bald 9-year-old kid who just wants to be a squire. When Dunk arrives at Ashford, he faces an immediate problem. To enter the tourney, he needs to prove he's a knight, and he needs someone to vouch for him. He can't use Ser Arlan's coat of arms because he's not Arlan's trueborn son. So he goes searching for Ser Manfred Dondarrion, hoping the Lord will remember that Arlan once served his father. This scene shows us the reality of being a Hedge knight. Dunk has no connections, no money, and no respect. Ser Manfred barely remembers Arlan and has no interest in helping some nobody. The camp followers Red and B&E treat Dunk like dirt. Even Ser Steffan Fossaway, when Dunk tries to train with him, mocks him openly. The show does an excellent job of expanding scenes from the novella here. In the books, these interactions are brief, but the show gives them breathing room. We see Dunk's desperation, his attempts to maintain dignity while everyone around him treats him as less than nothing. This is the ground-level view of Westeros that we never really got in Game of Thrones. Then Dunk meets Ser Lyonel Baratheon, and everything changes. Lyonel is everything Dunk isn't. He's confident, charismatic, powerful, and he finds Dunk's awkwardness hilarious. But instead of mocking him cruelly, Lyonel takes a genuine liking to this massive, honest Hedge knight. Lyonel gives Dunk the advice that becomes central to his character. The 7 above gave you tallness, so be tall. It's not just about physical height. It's about owning who you are, standing up straight, and not apologizing for existing. For Dunk, who spent his whole life being told he's stupid and worthless, this advice is transformative. The two of them have this wonderful scene where they dance and try to stomp on each other's feet. It's playful, it's genuine friendship, and it's completely unlike anything we've seen in this universe before. In the books, Lyonel is mentioned, but this extended friendship isn't shown in as much detail. The show expands their relationship beautifully, giving us a Baratheon we can actually root for. Lyonel Baratheon, by the way, is called the Laughing Storm. He's the Lord of Storm's End during this time period, and his actions in the coming episodes will have massive consequences for House Targaryen and the entire realm. But more on that later. Dunk meets a Dornish puppeteer named Tanselle who's painting signs for the tourney. She's talented, she's kind, and she agrees to paint Dunk a new shield. He can't afford much, but she helps him anyway. The shield design is important. Dunk wants a sunset background because Ser Arlan loved sunsets. He wants an elm tree because he's camping under one. And he wants a shooting star above it because he saw one the previous night, which he believes is lucky. In the books, this shield becomes Dunk's sigil for the rest of his life. It represents his origins, his humble beginnings, and the moment he truly became himself. That shooting star, by the way, is described as green in the novella. Green comets and falling stars in this universe are often associated with significant events and prophecies. The fact that Dunk sees it the night before everything changes is no accident. Back at the inn, there's a scene that book readers are going absolutely crazy about. A drunk man wakes up, sees Dunk, and freaks out. He points a knife at him and says, "I dreamed of you," before stumbling away. He pays with a coin bearing the Targaryen dragon. The show doesn't reveal who this is. He's not even listed in the credits. But book readers know. This is Daemon II Blackfyre, a pretender to the Iron Throne and a major figure in the third Dunk and Egg novella, The Mystery Knight. The fact that he has prophetic dreams about Dunk suggests their paths will cross again in extremely significant ways. If the show gets renewed for more seasons, this brief moment becomes incredibly important. It's the kind of long-game storytelling that Game of Thrones used to do brilliantly. Then we get to the main conflict. Prince Aerion Targaryen watches a puppet show where a knight defeats a dragon, and he takes it as a personal insult. Why? Because Aerion literally believes he's a dragon in human form. He calls himself Aerion Brightflame, and his madness is the early warning sign of the Targaryen insanity that eventually destroys the dynasty. Aerion orders his men to destroy the puppet show, and when Tanselle tries to stop them, he deliberately breaks her fingers. Dunk witnesses this and faces an impossible choice. He swore an oath to defend the innocent, but Aerion is a prince. Striking a member of the royal family is a crime punishable by losing your hand or your head. Dunk chooses honor over safety. He attacks Aerion and punches him in the face. In the books, this moment is described as Dunk not even thinking. He just reacts because it's the right thing to do. It's exactly what Ser Arlan taught him, exactly what knighthood is supposed to mean, and it's going to cost him everything. When Aerion's guards move to kill Dunk, Egg steps forward and reveals his true identity. He's Prince Aegon Targaryen, Aerion's younger brother, and he orders the guards to stand down. This is the moment Dunk realizes his squire isn't some orphan from Flea Bottom. He's been serving a prince of the realm without knowing it. Dunk is arrested and taken to Ashford Castle. The next episodes will deal with the consequences of his actions. Prince Aerion will demand a trial of 7, an ancient form of trial by combat where 7 champions fight for each side. It hasn't been done in over a century. Dunk will have to find 6 knights willing to risk their lives for a Hedge knight nobody. Aerion will have 3 Kingsguard, his father Prince Mikar, and other powerful warriors. The odds are completely against Dunk, but this is where we'll see who truly believes in what knighthood should mean versus what it actually is. In the books, this trial results in the death of Prince Baelor Breakspear, the crown prince of Westeros and the heir to the Iron Throne. He's killed accidentally by his own brother Mikar during the combat. This single event changes the entire line of succession and sets up everything that follows in Targaryen history. What makes this episode so refreshing is that it's not trying to be Game of Thrones. There are no dragons. There's no magic. There are no sprawling political schemes or massive battles. It's just the story of a good man trying to survive in a world that punishes goodness. The original Game of Thrones was at its best when it showed us characters making impossible moral choices. Ned Stark choosing honor and losing his head. Jaime Lannister choosing love over duty. Jon Snow choosing the Night's Watch over his family. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms brings that energy back, but from the perspective of someone with no power at all. Dunk isn't a lord. He isn't destined for greatness. He's just a big guy who wants to do the right thing, and watching him navigate a world designed to crush people like him is genuinely compelling. The comedy in this episode also works because it's character-based. The opening scene where someone takes a massive dump isn't just shock value. It's showing us that this world is disgusting and uncomfortable for everyone, not just the small folk. The innkeeper drinking from a mug and then serving Dunk with the same cup isn't gross-out humor. It's showing us the reality of medieval hygiene and the casual disrespect Dunk faces everywhere. By the end of the episode, Dunk officially accepts Egg as his squire. Egg has set up their camp, caught fish for dinner, and proven himself useful. But more than that, he's shown genuine admiration for Dunk. He sees in this Hedge knight something real, something none of the other knights possess. In the books, this relationship becomes one of the most important in Westeros history. Egg learns from Dunk what it means to serve the small folk, to see them as real people rather than resources to be used. When Egg eventually becomes king, he spends his entire reign trying to improve the lives of common people, granting them rights and protections that anger the High Lords. Dunk becomes Lord Commander of the Kingsguard and serves Egg faithfully for decades. They die together at the tragedy of Summerhall, an event that's referenced throughout Game of Thrones but never fully explained. Whatever happened there, it killed King Aegon V and Ser Duncan the Tall on the same day, ending one of the greatest partnerships in the history of the Seven Kingdoms. The show stays remarkably faithful to George R.R. Martin's novella. The biggest changes are expansions rather than alterations. Scenes that are brief in the book get more time to breathe. The friendship with Lyonel Baratheon is fleshed out. The camp followers Red and Beanie get actual personalities. One notable change is Dunk's age. In the books, he's only 16 years old during the Hedge night. The show ages him up to his 20s, which makes sense for the story they're telling. Peter Claffey is 29, and while he's playing younger, it would be difficult to sell a 16-year-old who's nearly 7 feet tall. Egg's age stays about the same. He's 9 years old in the books, and actor Dexter Sol Ansel was 9 when he was cast. This maintains the coming-of-age element of Egg's story. He's a child learning what the world is really like outside the palace walls. The novella is only about 30,000 words, which you can read in under 3 hours. HBO is turning it into 6 episodes of television, which means they're adding significant material. So far, those additions have enhanced the story rather than diluting it. Understanding Egg's story recontextualizes so much of Game of Thrones. The Targaryen madness that defines Aerys II didn't come from nowhere. It's been in the family for generations, and we're watching an early example with Aerion Brightflame. The Baratheon rebellion that Robert leads against the Targaryens has roots in this era. Egg's decisions about marriage alliances, about granting his daughter to House Baratheon, create the claim that Robert uses to justify taking the throne. Even the obsession with hatching dragon eggs, which plays such a huge role in Game of Thrones, starts here. Egg spends his entire life trying to bring dragons back, believing they're the key to restoring Targaryen power. His final attempt at Summerhall kills him and everyone there, but it also results in the birth of Rhaegar Targaryen on that same day. The prince who would become Daenerys' older brother, who would start Robert's rebellion by supposedly kidnapping Lyanna Stark. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms Episode 1 is a statement of purpose. It's telling us that Game of Thrones can be more than shock deaths and CGI spectacle. It can be a character study. It can be a buddy comedy. It can be an exploration of what honor means when you have nothing but your word. Dunk is going to face impossible odds in the coming episodes. He's going to have to find knights willing to die for him when he's nobody. He's going to have to fight against princes and Kingsguard. He's going to have to prove that being a true knight means something more than birth and privilege. And through it all, Egg is going to learn lessons that shape him into the king he becomes. The king who tries to change Westeros for the better. The king who dies trying to bring dragons back to save his people. This is the Game of Thrones story we needed. Not another Dance of the Dragons. Not another War of the Five Kings. Just 2 guys, one giant and one small, trying to make their way in a brutal world while holding on to the belief that doing the right thing matters. If you made it this far, drop a comment and let me know what you thought of the episode. Did you catch the Demon Blackfire cameo? What do you think about Dunk's claim to knighthood? And are you ready for the Trial of 7? Hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns of every episode, and I'll see you in the next one where we dive into the consequences of Dunk's choice and the formation of his champions. This is going to be one hell of a ride.